2008, a writer and illustrator by the name of Robiko wrote a 13-volume series titled Tonari no Kaibutsu-kun, or in English, My Little Monster. Because it was so popular, My Little Monster was produced as an anime in 2012, and people have been saying it's a must-watch for all romantic anime fans. So of course, I watched it in the past year. But is it all that's hyped up to be, or was it overhyped because it was finally a romantic story that had nothing to do with boob jokes? Well, I'm going to use this time to find that out for you myself. So, let's get on to it, shall we? Summarizing the plot here, Shizuku meets Sutani is your typical studious high schooler whose main focus is to achieve academically and be basically the best that she could be. However, her mundane, studious life, and I put mundane in quotes, flips upside down when she meets the school delinquent Haru Yoshida. To him, it's love at first sight. To her, he's the bane of her existence. But perhaps Haru has made her life a lot more interesting than what Shizuku intended. Now, just reading that alone, the summary did definitely catch my eye, because I think we have heard of stories about you have your top honors student befriend and eventually fall in love with the school's bad boy or bad girl a couple of times. But it wasn't until I actually watched the first episode that I realized that this anime had done something completely different. Because for one thing, Shizuku is not your typical friendly popular girl. Actually, she's the top student, but she's also pretty much introverted, secluded outcast. She literally separated herself on purpose from society just because she thinks befriending people or being in relationships is going to take away from the goal of going to the college that she wants or getting the best grades in the entire school. And it starts to become the case when she meets Haru in the first place because he's been such a distraction. But then on Haru's side, he's not a bad boy on purpose. He's actually kind of antisocial too. But more in the innocent, naive sense, and the only time he ever does get violent is if someone threatens him or threatens someone that he truly cares about. And you definitely see that a couple of times throughout this show. Story-wise, I thought they took a cliche and they did something new with it, which, as a writer, I personally try not to create or take a cliche and just make something new out of it, but if a revamp of a cliche works, it definitely works, and we have seen it a couple times in anime or in movies or in TV shows, and for My Little Monster, they definitely took this story to a whole new level. So, what do they do with the characters exactly? Haru happens to be one of my favorite male leads in a while. In the beginning, he was put into this violent boy stereotype, but the show presents to us that in reality, he's completely misunderstood. I know this trope has been used about 100 times now, but this anime makes it different by still making Haru socially awkward. Probably just as awkward as Shizuku is, but on a more innocent specific level. I like this because Haru is definitely a lot more realistic. Like, he's become more of a human being as in comparison to a trope. Shizuku, on the other hand, has to be one of the most, dear God, resentful, meanest female leads I have ever met in my life. In a romance anime, whether it's a girl or a guy as the main lead, you need a reason to root for them to get the love interest at whatever point in the series, whether it's in the middle or the end of the series. I get why the creators wanted this type of character to exist. Honestly, I do, because it's something different and it hasn't been done before. I mean, she doesn't have many friends, as I've said, because she chose to be alone, while Haru doesn't have many friends because he was outcasted for his socially awkward behavior, which does lead to violent actions, even though if it's by accident most of the time. So, two almost antisocial people joining together is a great idea. That's a great idea for just a story in general, not just an anime. However, what doesn't work is when your main character literally wants nothing to do with the love interest and is so stuck on one part of her goal or her personality to the point that everything else about her almost seems irrelevant to the show at hand. And Shizuku is basically the epitome of this mistake. I mean, I really wanted to like her because Haru is such an adorable human being once we get to know him a lot more, but Shizuku lacks character development until, like, the end of the series, and by the time the show ended, the manga was not even done yet. And that, I won't say it angers me, it's more annoying. Because I highly believe that Shizuku has more character development in the manga, even though I have not exactly read that to confirm. And at this point, because of how much the series annoyed me, I don't know if I want to. But it makes me feel so bad for Haru in this case, because he's doing all he can in the most innocent way possible to get Senpai to notice him. But she's just like, I really don't care. And, I mean, I do like a character who has slightly no sympathy or empathy for other people, but the way that makes them human is at least give them a backstory or give them development of some light. But Shizuku literally has none of that until, like, the second to last episode? And I don't know, I just could not get into her at all. Like, whenever I just then expect her throughout the entire series to not have any other emotion besides A, getting pissed off at Haru for distracting her, or B, getting really shocked because something very awkward happens. But on a more positive note, you do get a couple of nice side characters who end up being friends with the two main leads. And, of course, they do their job at getting these two, meaning Shizuku and Haru, together. Because in a romance anime, that's what the side characters are supposed to do. That's usually their goal, getting the two main leads together. They're funny when they need it. They deliver some character development to the main leads, if need be. But as I said before, Haru does have more character development than Shizuku does, even with or without the help of these side characters. And it makes me feel so bad for these side characters because they're so enjoyable, but then they have to suffer with not only Haru's, like, crazy socially awkward antics, but with Shizuku's bitchy stubbornness. It makes me want to, I sympathize more with the love interest and the side characters at this point than the main lead, and coming from a romance anime, that's kind of not of a good thing. As far as our two main characters was concerned, never have I been more aggravated at this series in particular than probably watching the later seasons of Pokemon when Ash Ketchum keeps losing the league. We really get an adorable and sympathetic love interest, yet our female lead is not getting the message at all. Or when she does, it's like, meh. she's just so driven to this one goal in mind, which is, I have to study. I have to get into the best schools in Japan, or whatever the hell it is. And it's that, and basically there's nothing else that really shines about her, especially when in those moments when she's actually is nice to Haru at last, because she's finally realizing, oh, maybe Haru is the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I feel bad for being a little jerk about it. Throughout the series, I actually wanted Haru to get the girl more than Shizuku to get the guy, because it's like Shizuku's not dedicated towards anything else in her life. And even though she is dedicated to studying, but when that's all she cares about, that makes a character pretty much boring, and it makes this whole series kind of, no offense, useless. And in my opinion, that basically makes the whole entire story kind of non-existent, or it is existent, but it's just not really a cheer fest, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure the manga does expand on this more, because the anime is only 12 or 13 episodes long, and this anime existed before the manga actually finished. But, like I said, I'm not sure if I want to find out what happens in the manga, because the anime definitely turned me off. It definitely did turn me off. What I want to compare the main lead, Shizuku, to another character that's almost the same caliber in this case, and that's Mei Tachibana from Say I Love You. Mei was also a shut-in, but we do learn that a past event, almost like a tragedy, caused her to be so closed. And if it wasn't for the kindness of Yamato, like her love interest, if it wasn't for him, she would never, grow as a character. She would never really develop that much. And why I'm saying this is that Mei and Shizuku do kind of break out of their shells, but Shizuku is more like the one who tries to repair the cracks in the walls around her heart, while Mei literally has them break down, but then she breaks down the rest because she really wants to help her friends. She wants to get with Yamato at some point. Mei actually has more empathy and sympathy as a person, as a regular human being, while Shizuku acts more like a programmed robot, like the type of robot that really can't develop feelings. She's so shut because she chose to be that she's not even human anymore. And that's why this series and the connection between the characters aggravates me so much, because I can't really connect with the main lead as a viewer is supposed to, because that's what a romance is supposed to be about. You're rooting for these characters to get together. You're supposed to see the connection grow and develop, and I kind of did not see that in the series, and I was pretty disappointed in that regard. If I remember correctly from my anime list, I rated this anime a 6 out of 10 as an overall score. Now that I think about it, since it's been a while since I wrote that review, I think it's still pretty fair, because you have the enjoyable characters, you have a pretty unique plot to tie all the elements together, but the one defining factor that still falters over is, as I've said before, is the main character, Shizuku. If they made Shizuku a lot more human and she connected more with the viewers watching, the rating would definitely be higher for this anime. If you're the romance anime aficionado who wants to watch every single romance anime that exists for the sake of research or for the sake of what genre it is, I don't have a right to stop you from watching that. However, there are better romance anime. For example, I mentioned Say I Love You earlier. That is definitely one of my favorites. And then there's My Love Story, which is a million times better. I mean, there's a lot more out there. I mean, as far as I can see why this anime was so hyped and why it's considered a staple. But the sad thing is, it's not exactly one of the best out there, much to my disappointment. But like I said, if you want to watch it for yourself, go right ahead. I'm not the person who's like, it's not terrible. The anime is not terrible. It's just not genius. It's not great, so to say. So on that note, I would like to thank you guys for watching this review, and if you liked that, don't forget to subscribe for more content, and if you have any thoughts about this anime in general, be free to share in the comment box below, which will probably be under here, under the subscription button. So I hope to see you all guys again pretty much soon, and keep watching anime. Bye bye!